On air.
Good job, everybody.
You're on.
Get that fixed, Paul?
No, I still only have 9 people. I don't know how to,
That's all you need.
well,
Make sure it's the
it's got,
important ones.
I'd like to get everybody's mug on here. Maybe I get rid of mine and, no, I need to see mine too. I've got Q&A, mute, stop video, share content, participants.
Try the other corner, Paul, and try the other corner of your screen to see if you can get a grid of small squares. And touch that grid of small squares.
The little thing that says view.
You.
View.
I was proud to get 9 of you. I may just have to go with this.
Tina. Coming up.
Tina's coming.
But I do want to say a few of my experiences at some point with Dr. Tan.
Uh-oh, I
hey,
lost.
Paul.
You know what? I clicked on that grid and now I can't see anything.
Done
Uh-oh.
it again.
Can you
There are little blue arrows to go to the right or the left. You click those arrows, you get another grid of another 9.
Uh-oh.
Okay, guys, the live
I
stream,
can't see it, Eileen. I can't see a thing.
the live streaming is
clicked on
already
something.
on YouTube. So we already have 12 people join us for the party. So I would no further ado. And Antonio, you want to
Eileen, I can't see a thing. Oh dear. Okay.
Sean will take care of that. Sean, can you take over Irene's screen? And I'm gonna
There.
start with
We're good. Okay.
Hi, Anna. Anna, the logo is here. So you need-
Welcome to the party. Happy birthday, Dr. Tan.
There she is.
Sarah and Anna, I have my Kleenex.
Oh, no, yeah. Okay, now. So, are you guys ready? I have to start a party now. We have 13 people watching from all over the world. Good morning, everyone. This is Eileen Yue-Ling Han, the director of the Academy of Acupuncture. Welcome you to join me for the Dr. Tan's 70 years birthday party. I remember 10 years ago, we had the 60 years old birthday. Now we are celebrating the 70 years old. I understand you're going to ask me, why is 69 or 70? Because the Chinese counting that 1 year you are in your mother's tummy as a 1-year-old. That's why we celebrate the 70s. So,
Hi, Anna.
so let's welcome everybody. Say hi to each other. We have-
Hello, family.
Thank you so much. And please, whoever is on the YouTube, please sign in your name and your state so I know who you are. And I thank you for joining us for this wonderful party. So we will go start with Dr. Tan's photos. We will have some beautiful slideshow for everyone. So you can see when Dr. Tan was young, how did he started, and going to all the courses, parties in all of the world. And at the end that we were at Taiwan with him. So this is gonna be the slideshow. After that, we're gonna have you, all of you, to share a short story of Dr. Tan, how you're having fun with him. And everyone, it will be about 1 minute to 2 minutes, no longer, because we have a lot of people. And hopefully we can finish this within about an hour. So everybody have their wonderful day, wonderful place to go. But we would love to have you, all of you, to join me with Dr. Tan's birthday. In case you don't have a drink, we need you to go get your drink, okay? No matter is it coffee, tea, Long Island iced tea, or martini. And I would like you guys all have a toast for Dr. Tan to celebrate life, to celebrate the balance method that we all over the world that everybody is practicing. It never have a day the balance method had a sound down. Every day it is sound up everywhere in the world. So let's starting with our slideshow. Anyone have any recommendation for the progress or anything like that? We're all good? Yay. So let's start the slideshow, Sean. Thank you. If you guys see me doing this, it means I'm saying hi to the people who was on the YouTube, okay? I was trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
As you can see, guys, this is Dr. Tan's young photo that I always showed it on the seminar, in the seminars. So you guys can see that. And this will be his baby photos. This is a few photos left from after the fire from all his friends, and then give it to him. And then that's a few photos that he has. This is Dr. Tan when he was in graduating, very handsome. And this is Dr. Tan, Fang Fang, and Litten. Those are the photos that are really, really precious. We don't have many of them. Look at that. Wow.
Oh.
That is my party. Dr. Tan was kissing Fang Fang Tan, was really cute. And you can see Katrine come to an intern with Dr. Tan. This is Mama Tan, okay? And this is Dr. Tan in Las Vegas. Now you can see who is this guy.
Martin.
Martin.
And on the side of Martin is Dr. Tan's two sons. One is Litten and one is Tao Tao, and the other one is the younger one. I'm sorry, I can't see his face. Wei-Li. Now everybody's making dumplings. Look at John Minnie's hair. In case you didn't see that.
Rockstar.
And Jim is there, Irene is there, Jack is there, and also David, of course, I was there. They are making more food for the party. Doctor always have party at his house. So that's what's happening here. And then we always miss him, go to his party. And I also called Janera, but I couldn't get a hold of her, so she missed the party today. And you can see Irene's there. And that's the happy birthday to Litten, the whole family photo. And of course, that's me. I gotta be selfie in there.
Photo Bob.
I know, that's me. That's the party at my house.
Oh, that looks so good.
Yeah. Okay, and Martin has longer hair that time. Just kidding. Don't hate me, Martin. Those are the party photo. Dr. Tan played guitar, never learned a day. He was playing with Jimmy Zhang, the herb guy. They're both are the king of the Chinese medicine to my world. Okay, if you had better teacher, I understand. This Jim and 8 with Dr. Tan. And this is the party we were in North Carolina. Of course, Dr. Tan's favorite is mutton. He wrote some Chinese calligraphy for me. So this is one of the photos that I precious very much. The character he wrote is the one on my first book, is the medicine.
Oh.
Oh, I know. This thing in Chicago. And he was, remember the American Pie? American Pie? If you remember,
Yes.
so can you play the sound? Okay, Sean is playing the special video that I recorded when I went to Austin, Texas, his favorite bar, that dueling piano.
Come here, Tommy. Come here, Tommy. Hey, Paul.
Okay, this to to show you how party animal this Dr. Tan. He loved to be there. That's his favorite bar. Every time we go to the Austin, Texas, that's the dueling piano, his favorite. That's where we took the photos. And this is Sonia Tan and Dr. Tan. He came to Vancouver. He went to Vancouver. Sonia Tan, I think Sonia was hosting for the seminars. So that was a really wonderful photo there. And you can see who's there. Diane. I told you I have a lot of photo of you with Dr. Tan. Melissa, Diane, and Joe.
Malisa.
Melissa, yes. And Diane gonna teach our 8 extra meridian seminars because Dr. Tan taught it there and she really take it to her heart. She's using it for over 15 years, just that particular balance. I would love to have her share with every one of us. It will be on June 5th for the seminar, only 4 hours. If you have not registered.
Is that online? Live?
No, live. You can come to San Diego, but she's in Massachusetts though.
Oh, okay.
It's online. So this is the party again at Dr. Tan's house. And Dr. Tan's playing piano. I tried to stuck myself in there so I can be a little bit more elegant. So we were in Europe, and this is Tina and me hang out with Dr. Tan. We were in China. If you remember, this is Howard, Robert, Gordon, David, Irene, and all the people. We were there. You missed it.
I missed that.
You missed both of them. Just
I know,
okay.
I missed both. I was
Yeah.
in the hospital one time.
I know. I remember that.
But it-
So who's this?
Yeah. Gord.
Very young and beautiful. It's okay, Gore. Don't be sad.
I look happy.
Here you go. That's Gore.
Oh.
I wish that was the knee you're talking about. That's the
That's a
China.
great picture.
Thank you. And look at that, Irene. Dr. Tan.
Yay.
Look at this. We were at the Great Wall. So Tina and I went to Switzerland. Dr. Tan was teaching there. We're on the Alpine. Alps. He's teaching at Rosenberg, the biggest TCM in Germany. I was introduced him. I was shaking. Look how many people. After you see that, that's a big seminar. 2006, Dr. Tan was teaching over there. It's a huge seminar.
Come here, Tommy.
That's how many people Dr. Tan speak.
Tommy.
People
Okay.
spoke to. So that's another China tool that we. It's the Taiwan tour. So you know all of you are there. That's the balloon. We'll send our good wish for Dr. Tan. Paul is there.
Elephants.
Paul, you remember you were there?
Of course, I remember I was there. I have fond memories
Are you sure?
and some pictures.
So that's before we release the lantern. John is a tea master.
That's where John introduced me to
John is a
tea.
master. They were at the tea store. We're in San Francisco. Dr. Julian's there. Haven't seen him for a while.
Mhm.
Oh, look at who's this.
That was the gun.
Gunslinger.
Of course, every photo has to have me behind it. You know, see, I have photo bomb.
Wanna go there? Okay.
So we got a toast. Since Dr. Tan is toasting, everybody bring out your tea. Let's do a toast for Dr. Tan's birthday. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Cheers.
Birthday.
Hey. Okay.
That was a fun day.
Dr. Tan and Fang Fang is dancing. Mrs. Tan, she's so beautiful. She's a line dancer and great dancer that day. Look at Anna, your kids are so tiny. Did you see that?
Angela.
Anna,
That was Angela.
Oh my gosh, they were small.
Remember them? They're blowing that and then play with Adrian,
Oh.
Dr. Tan's two sons. Who's this? Yoo-hoo.
So dapper.
Oh my God. Whoa.
I still have that tie somewhere.
So this is the three of us were really in the clinic and helping Dr. Tan for the last maybe 4 or 5 years. Eddie, what is it? Do you remember Eddie and Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Eddie.
So of course there's 2 stars. We don't have Charlie's Angels. So who is this?
Is that you, Jackie?
Yes. Remember, Anna?
You look so happy.
I was.
Yes, you were.
You guys are really fun. So this is the last photo for Dr. Tan, and thank you for joining me for the slideshow. So now let's have
Hey.
one before we go. One before we go is the party for the 60 years old birthday. We have a special video for all of you. If you remember, if you don't remember, are you okay, Sean? Don't say anything yet. Don't say anything yet. So everyone, I'm gonna make sure that you remember the 60 years old birthday party at the Las Vegas, his house. We put on such a big show. I want to introduce you. Are you ready? Okay, he's not ready yet. Give it one more second. Let me introduce you.
Are we having another fire show?
Oh, Jackie.
Oh.
Hi, Sonia.
Technical difficulty.
Ready? Is it coming up?
Yes! I knew it. I knew there was gonna be a fire show.
I knew it. I knew it.
What was this?
Is Howard here?
Yes. Go Howard. Go Howard. Howard.
We're punching the show.
There. Look at the fire.
Sorry, Don just ruined the party. Okay, now that's fine. So if you are not coordinated as a Howard, you will have to practice this before you become the family member. And before, you have to know how to do those things, okay? Before you can become. Howard, how you feel about it?
I feel great. I can teach you how to do this if you really want to. It's just like needles, but a little bit bigger.
Can
Oh,
I
you
say
look
how?
your needles. Okay, great.
Can I say how hard those tickets to that Vegas show were to get?
And I'm gonna add, I think he was pretty safe because Dr. Tan was a water dragon, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
I remember I was behind him. Hopefully that used that claws to make sure he's not on fire.
And Howard taught Eileen how to swallow fire or breathe.
No, that one is no show.
How to eat fire, yep.
I want to see that.
That one is no show, okay? It's
Yeah,
not
why
my
didn't we see
birthday.
that video?
I have videos.
No.
I'll take
I have photo evidence too.
No.
Yep.
All right, so let's welcome Jim. have some little story to share with everybody about his story with Dr. Tan. Let's share. Let's have Jim.
Bravo.
There are people here who didn't meet Dr. Tan. Is that correct?
Most of the people here, but online not, and online not. So yes, some of them not. Yes, we have live chat right here, so I'm chatting with them.
Well, I think it's number one. I'd like to thank Eileen for creating the Academy of Acupuncture and carrying on Dr. Tan's legacy. She has done a fabulous job of
Absolutely.
it, and bringing us all together and giving us this forum and our methods for sharing with each other and with the rest of the world to keep this legacy going and to watch it thrive and grow as it is doing. And just thank you, Eileen. Kudos to you. Since there are people here that never actually met Dr. Tan, they might not understand his sense of humor. And I think the story of how he developed the strategy of the 12 magic points is a beautiful example. He would frequently tell this in his class that it was one of the night he was trying to figure out a strategy to bring all of the 12 channels into balance at once and how you could do that in a general way. And he was studying like crazy. And it was one of the nights, he had many nights where he's laying in bed, reading, laying flat on his back. And it had been one of the nights where he kept being awakened by the book hitting him in the face when he'd fall asleep and it had dropped down on him. He studied constantly. And he got up in the morning, and in the morning, his routine was to go to the bathroom and sit down and meditate a little. And he was sitting there and thinking about the strategy of the 12 magic points and how he could develop this. And just as the drop occurred and the plot, his mind opened. And there was the strategy of the 12 magic points. And he would relate that to us in his seminars. And it was just, he's such a great guy. So I wanted to relay that to people who never met him. He was a romantic, and he was not a rule follower, shall we say. He's very much a rebel. You can tell that by his seminars, and in the beginning, there was a lot of resistance. People who'd been through the schools where you memorize the points and all of that stuff, there was a lot of resistance to what he was teaching. And because of that, that leads into this. He really didn't like following the rules. We were over at my house, and I have shooting ranges. I do a lot of shooting, and he loves to shoot, or he loved to shoot. And we're out on my range shooting, and I own the property behind it, and there's just woods. I do have a berm, and of course it's marked active shooting range all down it. Keep out, no trespassing. So we're out there on the range shooting, and he looks at me and he says, well, what happens when the bullet goes, if you miss and it goes past the berm and out into the woods? What if someone's back there? And it's my woods, you know, I own the place. And I looked at him and said, well, they're not supposed to be there. He thought that was hysterical. And frequently in seminars, people who attended his seminars, I'd be sitting there taking notes like everybody else. And every now and then someone would come in and start arguing about one of the point. Well, the book says this point does this. And he would answer their question, and then he'd be walking around, and at some point he'd walk over to me and kind of point to my notebook like he's saying something about my notes. And he'd lean over, and in imitation of my Southern drawl, he'd say, not supposed to be there. That was kind of a private thing between us. And I thought it was hysterical. Of course, I'd break up every time. So
that's great.
To share that. He was such a great guy, tremendous sense of humor, and so caring. Helped people in far more ways than just acupuncture. So
thank you so much. So
Thank you.
I also like to acknowledge Tina Chen is here. Tina, can you say hi to everybody?
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Tina.
Hi, Tina.
We can't hear you, Tina. You have to
Oh.
unmute yourself.
Look who showed up.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Tina has disappeared. So, okay, there. Tina, you need to unmute yourself.
Unmute. Okay, can you hear me now?
Hey, there she is.
Hi, everyone. Wow,
Hi,
long
Tina.
time no see.
Thank you for joining us for Dr. Tan's birthday. We show a lot of your photos. You're pretty
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
great. And then I also want to let you guys know John Minnie's here. John, please say hi. Big brother's there.
Minnie.
Hey, John. Right there.
Oh, there you are. All right, so now we're gonna invite our second speaker is Mark Montoya. Hi, Mark. Can you?
Hi, Mark.
I think his computer is not working. It's frozen. Can everybody see Mark? He's
Frozen.
Frozen, yeah.
okay, he's back.
There he is.
Okay, Mark, it's your turn now. Tell us some story for Dr. Tan. You need to unmute.
Unmute yourself.
Can you unmute him? Mark, you need to unmute yourself, please.
Hi, Tona.
Keep losing signal. Hello?
Working.
Keep talking, Mark.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, Dr. Tom was really funny and he really showed his humor sometimes when we were at the end of the day. And I had gone, I believe we were in Los Angeles because it was really, really hot. And we went down to the bar and I always ordered like a light beer, and he did his martini on the rocks, whatever, or martini. And we were sitting there and he says, I don't know if you've noticed anything. And I said, no. He says, I've noticed all day. He says, you're wearing two different socks. And I said, oh my God, you know? And I said, really? And so I looked down and one was like a orange sock and maybe blue, I don't remember. So I was sitting there and I was like, I was embarrassed. And I said, well, don't say nothing, right? He started laughing and he goes, oh, don't be too embarrassed. He says, I got up one morning. He says, I was late going to work. He said, and I realized it. He said, I had a patient in the morning. And he said, I literally got dressed. And he said, I had taken a shower, but I got dressed. And he says, I threw on my pants and I grabbed a new shirt and I ran out the door. And he said, I opened up the business, and he said, I turned on the light. The lady was there. He said, I told her to go into room 1 and take off her socks and raise her pant legs. And he said, I started treating her. And he said, I got to her legs. I did right arm, and then I did a left arm. And I got to the left leg, and he said, I started feeling something in my pants. I said, really? And he said, he says, well, you know, sort of a bulge. He was sort of, you know, playing on. And I said, oh, okay. And he goes, I finished up needling her really quickly. And he said, I told her, you've got 30 minutes, enjoy it. And he said he walked out into the hallway and he said he felt something going down his leg, and he thought, oh my God. And so he said he got down the hallway and he said, all of a sudden, he said, it started coming out of the pant leg. And he said he pulled it and he said it was his undershorts. So he said, immediately, he says, I went to the bathroom, and he said, in Chinese, he says, you learn how to fold paper into envelopes. And he said, I folded them real neat and put them in an envelope. And he said, no, people were starting to come in. And he said, well, I wanted to be real quiet about it. I said, yeah. I said, were they bold? I you know, I said, were they really bright? And he goes, are you funny or something? And I said, no, Dr. Tan, I'm just asking. And he goes, they weren't as bright as your socks and as ugly as your socks. And so I started laughing. I said, well, you don't have to worry about anything, Dr. Tan. Tell me the rest of your story. He goes, I didn't know where to put it. And he says, so I think he said conference room, but he said, I put it on a shelf. And then he said, about 20 minutes later, he said he went to the woman and he started pulling the needles and everything. And then he said he felt something in the back of his pants. And he goes, oh, God. So he went off to the bathroom. He said he pulled his pants down and he said it was a sock. And so everybody was laughing. So I said, oh, my goodness. I said, well, Dr. Tan, is there a moral of the story? He goes, no, not finished. He says, I wrapped that up and rolled it into a napkin and put it on the shelf. And he said, I was going to get it at the end of the day, either throw it in my briefcase or throw it in the car. He said, but I got so busy, I forgot. And he said about 3 o'clock in the morning, he said he was sound asleep and he woke up and he says, oh my God, I left those. And what if they find them in the morning? So he forgot about them for like 3 days, he said. And then finally he took them and got them off the shelf and he threw them in the basket in the bathroom. And then he forgot about it. And then he said he woke up again like at 4 o'clock in the morning. He said, what if the cleaning crew finds them? He says, they're going to think that hanky-panky is going on in this office. And so he just said he kept his mouth very quiet for a long time and didn't tell anybody. But he told me that story and I thought it was pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
All right, guys.
But he had a funny sense of humor.
Exactly.
He did tell me a joke, and I have a joke, and it's very quick. He said there were two midgets, and they always made love in the morning, and they take their shower and get dressed, and they lived in Texas. And so the guy would go to his job, but one morning the little guy said that his groin was hurting really bad. And his wife said, you've been telling me this for a long, long time. And I finally made an appointment with the doctor. He goes, why did you do that? She goes, he said, I don't really want to go to the doctor. And he finally did. And the doctor put him on the table and he said, pull your pants down. And he said, yes, sir. He says, you do have problems with your growing. He says, they're a little chafed, they're a little black and blue, a little swollen. And he says, I can take care of this. And the little guy was laying on the table and he says, what are you going to do? And the guy grabs a pair of scissors, the snippers. And he says, oh my God. He says, I'm going to have an operation. He goes, no, he says, and you won't need any anesthesia, but he says, I'll take care of it. And the little guy hears him snip, 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 snip. And the guy has a total relief on his face and says, oh my God, it feels so good. He says, he goes, you have magical hands. And he says, my God, I've never had an operation like that before. He says, what did you do? He says, I just love.
Oh no.
There it is.
We missed the punchline, Mark. Completely.
We need the punchline.
I think it's multiple choice, right?
He's gone. Oh my God. He's gone.
Anybody else know the joke?
Nobody know the joke. I'm sorry. That is X-rated. Mark, you are still muted. Okay. Mark, you're muted. You're on mute. Okay, never mind. So until Mark comes back, we will hear the punchline. So now we have our third guest. It's Katrine from Berlin, Germany. And she will bring this special shorts. I don't know, is it story or special things that you're doing, Katrine? So now it's yours.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Now, I'm not going to do this one. This is another one of you going to practice, you know, this trick. But my story is a little shorter.
Hello.
Hold on. Mark, you're back. Okay, Mark, just tell us the punchline.
I keep losing the signal and it keeps muting.
Just
tell us the punchline and we're good.
Oh, the punchline. God, I'm sorry. Anyway, he was laying there and he goes, "You have fantastic hands." He goes, "Oh my God, no anesthesia, no nothing." He goes, "What did you do?" And he goes, "Well, I lowered your boots."
Oh, why you wearing boots there?
He was a midget. He was a
I knew
small
you wouldn't get
person.
it, Eileen.
Vertically challenged, please.
Okay.
Whoever it is, I'm sorry I interrupted, but I keep losing the signal and it keeps muting it.
That's fine. That's fine. We're good. We got the punchline. Great. Thank you, Mark.
Bye.
All right.
Mark.
Now, Katrine, continue for your story.
Yes, my story is a little shorter, and at least I just want to give an example for Dr. Tan's common sense, and what I adored in him is his simplicity. He always also used to say, "Keep it simple, stupid." And I'm grateful for many things in the field of acupuncture I've learned from him, but not just acupuncture. It's about herbs, it's about feng shui, it's about Bazi, Tuina, it's about everyday life. And he really trained us to no bullshit every day. And here's the example. Once you stayed in Berlin and I invited you and Dr. Tan, and he had a chance to get to know my cooking art, the art of cooking, and it's not too great. And he is kind of straightforward, and I enjoy that. And I often ask him in acupuncture things, how does that work? Which scientific background has that? And he always said, because my grandma said so, keep it simple. And so his solution for me for a better cooking is this.
Oh, yes.
So next day after he was and you were invited in my house, he gave me a new cooking pot. And this is a great, this is simply a great, a very big pot to steam vegetable and to steam everything. And the last 15 years, I really, and my husband as well, we enjoy this Dr. Tan memory pot.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. So now,
thank you.
Thank
so
you.
I'm just grateful about everything I've learned from him. And he is still so much around and so alive. And every time I don't know what to do, I feel like he's with me and telling me, keep it simple. It is just what it is, and go straight forward.
All right. So now I like to play a short video. It's in the class while Dr. Tan is describing someone here about her personality and what's happening. So let's watch the video, okay?
We got invited by one of my friends who happened to be a German doctor, MD. And then we were in the house and we are eating noodle soup that night. And Eileen forgot this is Europe. And she just feel relaxed. It's like a Chinese home. So when they started to serve the noodle, she the first bite like that. And all of a sudden we heard the MD, who is a female German doctor, okay? Single mom with a 2 daughters. And when Eileen did that, and she said, "Stop it, Laura." Okay. Laura is her daughter, okay? On the table, okay? And Laura looked at both of us and And I try to laugh, but I don't, because I know she's uptight. Right? And I kick Eileen's foot, and she doesn't even know what they mean, And she look around, and second bite. And finally, the doctor noticed it's from Eileen, okay? So she shut up and don't say anything. And which is great, because Eileen just slept all the way until she finished. So, what is uptight? What's supposed to be, what not supposed to be? What is good, what is bad?
All right. I'm sure you guys know who we're talking about. So now you know that I was not knowing about these stories right here. Whose phone? Okay, mute your phone. Thank you guys. Tell everybody we're busy right here. Okay, so now, excellent. Thank you so much, Katrine, for your sharing your story. Now, do you like to share that video with your daughter now, Lola?
Yes, I think I could do so.
All right. So the next speaker, who will be like the next one to speak? Raise your hand.
Okay.
Okay, Tona, let's share some of your stories, please.
It's just a really short story. It was the last time I saw Dr. Tan, and I went to see him in Chicago. And it was surprising because he had gotten to the System 3 in the lecture, and I'd seen him a few times, and he always liked to demonstrate elbow pain using System 3. And so he's pretty much just about done. He was about to do a demonstration, and he said, "Oh, he pointed to me. He said, you come up and do it. You come up and do the needle." And so he put me on the spot, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'm going to be there. Going to go do it." So it went in, and it was a easy thing. Put the needle in, maybe adjusted it a little bit, and the patient was like, "Oh yeah, that's a lot better." And so I thought that was it, and I was like, "Okay, whew, did a good job. Ready, good. Ready to go back, take my seat again." And he goes, "Oh wait," and I go, "Oh gosh, what's he going to do now?" And he's all in this little sly voice. And he goes, "Are you Chinese?" And so it just goes, I'm like, no, everybody's kind of giggled. And I just thought that was great that in the middle of everything, just still that little, just out of nowhere that he could just pull a little joke, a little something funny. It was almost like he was doing it for himself more than for anyone else. And I just love that little moment that we had there. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And now I'm gonna put Tina under the spot. Tina, do you have any story for Dr. Tan? You're a great storyteller. And Dr. Tan, we all love your Parkinson joke. And Dr. Tan interpret is really wonderful. So Tina, give us something for Dr. Tan.
All right. Want to hear regular jokes or R-rated jokes? Or
we're live streaming. No R-rated. No.
No R-rated. Well, Dr. Tan talked a lot about, various kinds of jokes. And then Eileen called me last week to say something funny. And then I'm thinking, wow, so many stories. I don't know which one. So let me just tell you this one that came to my mind. Maybe 20 years ago, we had a class. Eileen and I were there. And this is when Dr. Tan taught us all single ladies how to look for a man.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you're thinking of the same story, but the story goes like this. It was in the afternoon. People were kind of tired, So then Dr. Tan, wanted to take a break to ask people if anybody had any questions. So this lady raised her hand and said, "Dr. Tan, I have a question." So he asked, "Oh, okay, what is your question?" And then she said, "Are there any acupuncture points or TCM treatments to make the boobs bigger?" And then so Dr. Tan looked at her and said, "Dear, I think yours is fine." And then so she said, "But then are there any acupuncture points, So then people were thinking, oh, there isn't any, so nobody was really paying attention. And then Dr. Tan turned around and said, but yes, there is. So that was when everybody started to pay attention and take their pen and ready to write down what the point was, right? So he said, it would be stomach 36. And the reason is because the stomach channel passes through here. And then that's what, the imaging, that's what you would use. And if you wanted to use herbs, that would be 补中益气汤. So then I see everybody writing down the notes, And then so he says, I don't know how well that will work. So you can try it. And if it doesn't work, you can always find a man that has smaller hands. So that was his advice for us.
Great, Tina. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's very funny. I miss him a lot. Thank you for hosting this, by the way, so everybody can have a gathering to remember how great he was.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Tina, for joining us. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Now, thank you. Now let's welcome Martin. Martin, want to tell the story? Yay, Martin.
Hey.
Hi. It's so good to be back with the family. I want to say that just yesterday I was in the store and I was talking to a guy and he asked me if I did massage in my practice. And I related this story about how Dr. Tan says never massage a patient because they always want the damn massage. But when I first came to see Dr. Tan in San Diego, the first seminar, we finished, we go out to the bar, I'm sitting there drinking alone, which is very common for me. And he comes over to me, he goes, what's your name? And I tell him, he goes, where are you from? And I tell him, he goes, are you here alone? I said, yeah. He goes, you come to dinner with us. And from that moment on, I was part of the family. I'm going to start crying now. But I would not have had this wonderful family, all you guys, and all the great times that I've had without him just walking up to me and saying, come to dinner. So, but I'll tell you my favorite quote is, and I tell my patients all the time, actually another thing, he used to say, well, he would say to his patients, you're having a bad day today, it's okay, tomorrow will be better. And there would be a pause, and he would say, having a good day today, it's okay, tomorrow will be worse. Go with the flow, yin and yang, go with the flow, right? So, meanwhile, I want to show this picture. I don't know if you can see this picture.
No.
There was a lot of dancing. There's a lot of dancing, a lot of partying, and all that kind of stuff.
I took that picture.
But doing balanced method and meeting Dr. Tan and just listening to him, and he instilled confidence in me in my practice. I thought I was already confident, but I was much more confident after that. So many patients have benefited from what he's taught me. And it's just, every day somebody else benefits. So I want to thank all you guys for helping me along the path, and to Sifu Tan and to Sifu Eileen.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay, all right, now, should we invite our big brother, John Mini, to speak a little bit? Big brother, can you turn on your microphone?
Yes, I'm unmuted now.
Here you go, now you are here.
John Mini.
Good morning, everyone, or whatever time it is.
Hi,
wherever
John.
you're watching from. Thank you. I'm speaking to you live from Rancho Coatochtepetsin. I'll show you a little.
What is that, a language that we will understand? What are you talking about?
What I have to deal with every day. So there are a few things that I would like to mention, and one of them is I used a word to describe Dr. Tan's students in the address that I gave at his 60th birthday, and again in my part of his eulogy at his funeral in Taiwan. And that word is menagerie. And never has it been more clear about the menagerie that we all are. And I'm appreciating Dr. Tan in such a different way right now in a unique way that he was such a powerful man and such an insightful man and such a deeply caring man, even though he frequently said that he didn't care about certain things. He actually was a very deeply caring person. And one of the things I'm really appreciating this morning is that he had this very large vision. And it's really remarkable what he was able to accomplish when we see these pictures of all these classes all over the world for so many years and teaching such a diverse group of people, including people that might otherwise have not had really any interest in learning anything about Chinese medicine whatsoever. Somehow he brought that all together in the most remarkable way, in a way that keeps on continuing to roll on through all of us. And one of the things that's so remarkable about that, to me, is look at the crew of students that he had. I mean, look at all of us. We're really a very unusual menagerie of people, and frequently known to come completely unglued at the seams in all kinds of different ways, all of us. And we've all been here with and for each other in so many different ways over the years. So I really appreciate all of you guys and the unique kind of karma that we all share, having had touched this remarkable person and being able to transmit that into the world in our own way now. So I want to bring that up first and foremost for all of us, because we do continue to carry something very beautiful. And as Uncle Jim mentioned earlier, Dr. Tan taught us so many things, not just about Chinese medicine, but really what he was doing was using the Chinese medicine as a context for us all to come together, to learn from one another, to learn with each other, to hang on to each other, and to reinforce one another during all these difficult times, all these happy times. And it's really very powerful. So thank you, everybody, for continuing to hold this. And I also wanted to share something, a story that I don't know if many of you know. Maybe you all do, I don't know. But I wanted to share with you the story Dr. Tan told me about his enlightenment experience. Does anybody know this? It's an unusual one, and it makes a lot of sense. So when Dr. Tan was very young, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly how old he was, but he was old enough to be in the, doing his time in the army in Taiwan. And because it was compulsory service, and I'm sure it still is, you go through a certain period of time, like in many countries, where you're a part of the army, and that's just part of your public service, what you do. So this was Dr. Tan's time to be serving, and he was out on the coast with a friend of his in a bunker. And at that time, the Chinese and the Taiwanese, they would occasionally fire shots at each other. And this one morning, when he was there with one of his best friends, the Chinese shot a missile and it hit his bunker and it blew his friend to bits.
Yeah.
And that was a very powerful, you know this story, Eileen? Yeah. That was a very, very powerful moment for him, and a very deep kind of moment of enlightenment for him, because he got it permanently about how fragile and how transitory life is. And Shifu Tan always brought that to the table with us in so many different ways. But this was such a remarkable ability that he had to truly embrace life wherever it took him and wherever it took all of us. No matter how it would be judged externally, no matter where it would take him, no matter how difficult it was, no matter how crazy it was. And I know he held many of our hands during times when we were also going through similar insane times of life. And he was really, really there as, I would say, a rock, but but as a co-participant in this crazy thing called life. And he was never afraid to fully embrace it. And I'm sure he's helped all of us do the same. So that was the main thing that I wanted to share with everybody. So thank you for being here, everyone.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday, Shipper.
Thank you. So the next one that I like to invite Christian, our new teacher for our Bazi seminar. He's been taught for 2 years. And Christian, will you have some story to share with everybody for Dr. Tan's story? If you want to continue, listen to his story, because we have a level 5, never heard before seminar for Bazi for all of you. You want to learn for remedies and feng shui, this is the best time to register. Yay, this is our new teacher, Christian.
Hi, yeah, I do have a couple of stories. So I've got 2 short, funny stories, and then one sort of conversation that I had that really made me realize a little bit about what Dr. Tan was all about. So I'll start with Dr. Tan had a habit of teasing people that he knew could be teased, right? I mean, he was very compassionate and had a really great sense of how far he could take it with some people. But what he used to do with me is he used to pretend that he didn't understand me, which was for a while I actually I really thought that he didn't understand me. But what I mean is, for those of you that remember, Dr. Tan, of course, he had spent time in the army and he lost his hearing. Okay, he was, I think he was deaf in one ear, and so whenever I was in class and I would raise my hand and he would come up to me. And I guess the first couple of times that I had met him, I spoke, but I didn't speak, I spoke maybe in a lower voice or a quieter voice. And so he'd be like, right? And so then I'd have to raise my voice. And over the years, this became a little bit of a joke, because I had, at one point I'm like, okay, this guy really needs me to shout, right? And so every time there was a question, I'd raise my hand and, he'd be like, okay. And I would shout out, Dr. Tan, what about blah, blah, blah. And he'd still, like this. So I'd raise my voice even more. And then this little demure girl would raise her hand and she would, like, in the quietest voice, just whisper, Dr. Tan, what about this? And he would just turn to her and be like, oh, it's blah, 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 blah. And so it drove me up the wall, but at the same time, right, I thought it was hilarious. And so yeah, that was the little game that we had going on whenever we were in class. There was a misunderstanding that just had us all, I mean, we were all in stitches. We were in a Bodza class. I think it was the last Bodza class that he had, actually. And we were talking about chart comparisons or chart compatibility. And so, we looked at a couple of charts, and actually just before that, he had told us his tendency to actually figure out who was going to win the presidential elections using Bodza, right? And he told us how he figured it out for Obama and Bush, and he'd figured it out for he'd figured it out all the way back, at least to Clinton. And so he had explained his ability to do this. And so we were all very interested in this. And he segued into compatibility as the topic. And so we raised our hand and we said, well, Dr. Tan, right, what about, without telling him who they were, right? Because we didn't want him to be biased. We figured out the natal charts of Hillary Clinton and who was it at the time? Jeb Bush, I believe, right? Or George Bush. This was this was prior to the 2016 election, I guess it was. So it was like 2014 at the time. And so we didn't know even like who was going to be, the primary candidate or anything like that, but we knew that Hillary Clinton was probably going to be a front runner and then probably one of the Bushes. So we ended up putting both of those out there in terms of natal charts. And it's like, well, what about this date and this date? And he kind of looked at them back and forth, and then looked at us and said, "Are these two people married?" And we said, "No." He said, "Good. These two people should not be married." So, after much uproar, we said, no, we're looking, these are for the presidential elections. Compatibility is not what we're looking at. We're looking at who's going to win, right? He's like, "Oh, thank goodness," he says, because I thought these two people were interested in getting together, and I had nothing but bad news for them. That was it was a very an amazing little moment. And then there's a conversation I had with him that it made me realize how selfless Dr. Tan is on the one hand, how much of a prankster he is on another hand, and how big of a prank the balance method is on the Chinese medicine community. And I mean this in the most amazing way possible. Okay, it's not a bad thing at all. So you know how he used to quote, or even in his book, he said he's throwing out a brick to get a piece of jade, right?
Yes.
And so, we all sort of take this as this very humble declaration on his part. He's giving us this small piece of very simple and very fundamental information in the hopes that we'll take it and we will embellish it and grow it and turn it into something precious and like jade. But for those of you who have taken any kind of Chinese martial arts class, you might recognize that saying from the 36 stratagems. And so giving a brick to receive jade is actually a martial arts strategy where you deliberately give something of a lower quality, in quotes, lower quality, right? And your enemy actually basically looks down on what you've given and said, "That's wrong," or "That's not right. This is the right thing." And so then they actually end up showing their hand, or they end up revealing a secret of sorts that they would not have revealed otherwise. But because of their arrogance and their haughtiness and their desire to actually put you down, they say, "You're wrong. That's not right. This is what it actually is." And all of a sudden they've revealed the secrets. And I know Dr. Tan had a bit of an issue with the way in which certain Chinese medical traditions would sort of hoard their knowledge and wouldn't share it. And I thought that this was the greatest prank he could ever pull, because with balance method, it's functional, it's workable, it's simple, it's amazing. And yet we know as well that it comes from, it draws on certain traditions and certain schools of thought to make it this complete wonderful system. But then when presented to the world, these schools of thought that he drew from, their hackles raised, right? And they got really upset. And I mean, how many times have we heard people from different schools of thought kind of look down on the balance method and try and prove the balance method wrong, or try and sort of, one up the balance method? And you know what? That's exactly what Dr. Tan wanted.
Yes,
right?
I agree with you.
He just wanted everybody to basically share this information openly.
Yes.
Right? And so by putting it all together in this neat and functional and comprehensive package, which is elegant and refined and so such a gift, and yet he himself says it's just a brick. It's just a brick. There's so much more behind this, right? And it's up to us as students to explore and to develop and be the mad scientists that he himself was, and grow and develop it. But also to understand that if anybody starts, "But Dr. Tan didn't actually," "But that's not actually the way that," just don't argue, shut your mouth, let them tell you how it is. And you know what? You might just get a piece of jade out of it.
Here you go. Thank you. Woo-hoo! Thank you, Christian. Thank you so much. In case you guys want to hear more story from Christian, please register for level 5 Bazi seminar. Thank you. Now let's have Paul Abadi. Sorry. What did you say?
If you guys want to see what a mad scientist really is, come and join my class.
Yes. All right. Let's
Bravo, Christian.
Let's welcome Paul Abadi. Paul, your turn to speak.
Well, I'm going to maybe dovetail into some things, especially what Martin was saying. And I think the people I'm close to in this group know that I'm a late bloomer, right? I've said that a few times. And it's just my first introduction with Dr. Tan. My colleagues here in Texas had been urging me to go study his method, and it was always an advanced course in Texas, and I'm a cheapskate and wasn't going to travel too far, but finally made a course in Orlando. In fact, Chen was there and her father, Alex, and it wasn't a big class, but it was very interesting. Point being, after the class, and kind of similar to what Martin had said, he invited me to dinner with him. And I think after that time, he and I really connected, and it was really, really special. It was just a hoot to be able to sit down to dinner with this famous group of people in my mind. And but ever since that first course, for several years later, attending his courses, he would kind of nag me that I didn't go back and start doing his method for quite some time, which in fact, ever since that course, and that was back, I think, in 2006, I've been using his method ever since and haven't deviated from that, and been getting, going to more seminars and learning more and more about it, being just totally fascinated. But he still would talk about people that would, you could see these instant results from his method, but people wouldn't go back to their clinic and practice it, which I did. And I think he finally realized that I was doing that. But it was so logical, the acupuncture 1, 2, 3, that it's hard to understand how somebody couldn't get it and couldn't go back and practice. But one of there's several things, incidents. I finally had a course in Austin with him, and of course it was always happy hour after the course, and then dinner with a lot of great people. I got a little bit overserved at one of the Austin seminars. It happened, I was going to get a hotel room, but it happened to be the homecoming from University of Texas. There was not a room to be had in the entire city. He invited me to take the couch in his hotel room. And he had taken me under his wing by that time. He really had. And ever since then, every seminar, he was just so gracious to me. I remember he was talking about he and Eileen would go, and he was great at helping people market, not only learn acupuncture, but learn how to market our skills. And he was talking, I think, with Eileen and he were at a bar somewhere, and they would start marketing, pulling out their acupuncture needles, and anyway, I took that one step further. After he introduced us and me to the Pachi Pachi, also the piezoelectric pin, I told him I'd show up at parties here in Galveston with my Pachi Pachi and do some amazing things with it. And in fact, one of my friends called it the Hachi Pachi. I said, "Do you bring a Hachi Pachi with you?" And so we garnered a lot of trust and a lot of understanding for what we could do with his method. And over the years, taking all of those courses, got good at it. I was teaching at the school in Houston, and somebody was talking about how people would kind of look down or a little bit in bewilderment at his method because it wasn't the traditional things that were taught in schools. And I would try and bring his method in, and the administration said, no, you can't do that. You'll confuse the students. And they finally said, okay, well, after 7 visits, if our method isn't working, you can practice, they'd call it my method, Dr. Tan's method. And I told them, after 7 sessions, if it didn't work and that patient isn't coming back.
Yes.
And I did have one of my professors there when I was studying. He got very interested and says, "What are you doing? Can you explain that to me?" And he's still a dear friend of mine, Lin Jia. And so Dr. Tan had awakened many people through his students from other people, and not only with his method, with his teaching, with his compassion, as we've heard, to understanding each other and understanding our patients. And just like everybody who's studied under him, our practice has changed, but our lives has changed also, and we've blossomed into such better people, I think. So I'm thankful for him and everything he's done for me and for us. And I do wish him a happy birthday. Was it yesterday? On wherever he is, and he is looking down on us, and I know that he is.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for all this kind word. Thank you, thank you. So now I know Gord and Jackie is so excited and waiting to share your experience. Yeah, Gord, please speak out of your mouth. Okay, Gord.
Speak up.
I'll do my best.
Yes,
Anyway,
speak out.
I am trying to speak up. Is that good enough?
Yes.
Okay, good. So first time I met Dr. Tan was in Vancouver, of all places, because he was up there doing a seminar. Well, not really a seminar. It was the introductions to different acupuncturists that were famous and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I was quite interested in what he had to say. And then so they had another thing in the afternoon where he would go into it a little more depth. And I got really intrigued with this. I thought, this is fantastic. And he treated me for one of my knees, and it felt extremely good. And I thought, this shit works pretty fast. So I thought, okay, I'm going to look into this guy for sure. And we live in Calgary, Alberta, so it's a little ways away from San Diego, that's for sure. But I thought, screw it, I'm going to go down there anyways. So when we're leaving, went out to the airport to get on a plane to go, and we're in the domestic side. And who walks by looking around like he's just like lost almost. And he has another assistant with him before Eileen. And
He's blonde, I remember.
exactly, yeah. So anyways, sure enough, I go over to him and I said, Dr. Tan. And he goes, yes. And he kind of looks at me like, who the hell are you? And I said, oh, I was in your course today. You treated me. And he went, oh, yeah. I said, where are you going? Like, are you going to somewhere in Canada now? And he goes, no, we're going back to San Diego. And I went, all right, well, you're in the wrong terminal. And he goes, oh, okay. So I take him outside and he's walking away down towards the international. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a guy that's traveling all over the world all the time. And he doesn't even know he's in the domestic terminal. I'm thinking, well, he might be a good acupuncturist, but he sure ain't good at the other stuff. But that was okay. That's fine. So we come down to San Diego and away we go. And ever since then, I met a whole bunch of friends, as like Paul said. It was wonderful. We were sitting up at the bar, Jackie and I were sitting at the bar, and he said, hey, you guys. And we went, yes. He says, get down here and have a drink with us. So I sat down, had a drink with him. He says, you're coming for dinner too. And same thing as everyone else. All of a sudden you're included. And it was a wonderful experience. And, it's wonderful. Just the way that man was all the time. So another funny story about that guy was, we were at one of these parties up at his house, and he'd rented a bus for us that night.
I did.
Yeah, or you rented it. Oh, and by the way, after Eileen came along, he never had another problem because she was always
Very organized.
She had everything done. It's fantastic. So anyways, we're getting near the end of the night, and he's kind of ushering us out and stuff like that. And I know Martin was standing right beside me, and he goes, "I love you guys." Do you remember that, Martin?
Yeah.
That was so funny. Oh my God. But he did. He loved us all. I mean, that's where he was.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gore.
You bet. Thank you. Jackie, you want to say anything?
I just want to thank everybody in this group and more that aren't even on today for becoming such good friends. Dr. Tan wasn't just a teacher. He allowed everybody to become, he enabled an atmosphere, an environment to allow us to not only share our experiences with the acupuncture and balance method, but to become really, really good friends, like through his drinks after the seminar, to dinners later, to traveling with him. He always, I was really thankful because at a lot of those dinners, it was at the dinners where he first introduced me. He said, "Jackie, I'm going to be teaching a new seminar, a new class, and I want you to be on it as a non-acupuncturist." Of course, it was his Bazi class. And I think there were two of us non-acupuncturists that started that class. And I think due to family commitments, the other wife wasn't able to finish. But thanks to all of your help, big brothers, Martin, John, you were there for me every step of the way, even Paul. And you helped me learn 5 elements, get through Bazi. And I was very, very thankful to not only receive my certificate at his 60th birthday alongside all of you, but as a result of that Bazi class, he again at another dinner, you can see a theme or a pattern going on here, said to me, he knew I was at a bit of a crossroads and in much need of a lot of cuckoo head treatment, his Juyuan Shaoyang. And he turned to Gord and said, "She needs to be an acupuncturist and she needs to start taking my classes." So I think it was either Martin or John that had told us a story one time about how acupuncturists search for a master and something to do with presenting them. I think it was Martin, with a gift 3 times, and hopefully on the 3rd time he would accept you as an apprentice. Was that you, Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Martin or John or somebody sitting at that table that day said to us, he said, "Hey, the master is speaking to you. I suggest you listen." So thanks to all of that, I did enroll in acupuncture school and actually started 2 months late because we were with Dr. Tan in China. So I actually got to take my very first balance method course in China when he was introducing his balance method there. And then my second class was at the San Diego seminar. And he used to teach the 4 days, starting with Thursday, your basic acupuncture 1, 2, 3. And then as the weekend progressed, the classes got a little bit more advanced, right? And so I was registered for the first 2 days, and at dinner that night, he said, "Jackie, I noticed you're not registered for Saturday and Sunday. And I said, oh, in my typical Western thinking, said, "You know what? I think I'd like to first of all finish acupuncture school, and then I'll specialize in your balance method and come and take your classes over and over, just like Gord has for decades." And he said to me simply, "No, you will attend my class tomorrow." And the rest is history. In fact, he said, "My class will help you in your acupuncture school studies," which of course it ultimately did. And yeah, the rest is history. I continued to take his classes, and still to this day, thanks to Eileen and the Academy, I continue to learn from all of you, including Christian, your Bazi, where it all began for me.
And let's congratulate Jackie, she is practice acupuncture along the side with Gore, and she also treating Gore, and he's a pain in the ass, so we have to needle him. So congratulate Jackie.
Oh, and John, I just wanted to share, John in his class last week, his Minja herbal class, he told us at the beginning that at the end of that weekend, the 2-day seminar, we would even, after those 2 days, be able to use this knowledge. And sure enough, I actually already did. John, thank you so much. I had a client with facial acne, and I dumped bitter into that stomach channel. All those heat toxins. Where are you, John? I want to see you. Yay!
Thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you so much for sharing. So now we're gonna go on to the next one. So Irene, Dorothy, let's talk about Irene. Please unmute yourself so you can share your story. You're not. Can you unmute it, please? Irene is one of the.
Here we go.
There you go. Okay, Irene, go ahead.
Oh gosh, there's obviously there's so many stories about Dr. Tan. He was, I miss him dearly. But when I first started out with acupuncture, 25, 30 years ago, I was in Iowa, and they had no acupuncturists there, and had all these farmers coming in, and I had to get results right away, or they weren't going to come back, because they didn't really believe in acupuncture to begin with. They just wanted results. And one of the gals in Des Moines had told me about this Chinese fella that that was really good. And I said, okay, I'll go. I'll do anything. Because so I took one of his seminars down in Florida. Gosh, I can't think of the name of the place. It was start with an H. Anyway, so we're sitting there waiting for him to come on. Had never seen him before. And on walks this little Taiwanese guy, and I thought, oh my gosh, what's he got to say? And we sat there for the whole morning listening to all of his lessons, and he answered all the questions that nobody could answer in school. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is the man that's going to teach me how to do acupuncture. And and ultimately ended up, like all of you, following him for 20 years. But I think the one philosophy that I get out of him, he's always great at teaching about life, but it was all about letting go. If you don't let go, you can't receive. And I think with that particular saying, it was always with me. I miss him deeply, and I love all the relationships I made through him and all of you. So that's what I have to share.
Thank you so much, Irene. And, Irene also very patiently show us how to she show up every single seminar. As long as Dr. Tan put on a seminar, I saw her almost 20 years. I saw her before I become acupuncturist. I was selling needles until I become acupuncturist, until now I continue going on for the balance method, and she's still here support me. Thank you so much.
Oh, Eileen, you're the best.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you. So now let's welcome John. Here, another big brother. Come on up. I'm gonna give you the screen, okay? I'm gonna go over there.
All right. Well,
you gotta put up that photo when he's not talking. Share screen.
When I was driving down this morning from North County, a black car passed me really quick, and the personalized license plate said D. Tan.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I was like, whoa. There he is. So what I wanted to tell you, a little story. I first met Dr. Tan in 1985 when I was in acupuncture school. And I don't know if people know this or not, but he went through California acupuncture school I think he did it in less than 2 years. It was either a year or two. He just like challenged every course, and he went through it very, very rapidly. But recently, we have a new rock star in our community, which is John Minnie. But I wanted to tell you, Dr. Tan arrived at California Acupuncture College as a rock star. The one story I wanted to tell you is when he was doing his internship, you know, he was doing something completely different than everybody else. And the students asked if they could have him treat all their patients. So what happened is for a week, he saw everybody's patient in the clinic, and all the interns followed him and the teachers. And so that was pretty amazing. I won't go into any politics of the school at the time, but yes, is that photo up?
Yep.
Okay, so we were looking for Tina's picture of Dr. Tan with the Terminator, but we couldn't find it. So
that is almost Terminator before the sunglasses. I took those photos. That's okay. And then this is another photo.
Yes, I have that tie somewhere. I don't know where.
That's okay. So that's a great photos of John and Dr. Tan. Thank you so much for having John up here to share with us. So the next one that we like to have, Diane. Please, Diane, share your story with us. Diane from Massachusetts.
We had a very unusual relationship. Again, I met Dr. Tan, Eileen, when you were working for Helio. Was it Helio?
I did.
So it was like I think it was the late 80s, early 90s. And, you know, at the time I'm still teaching at NISA, which has been consumed by Mass College of Pharmacy, unfortunately, I will say. And I'm a Japanese practitioner. I practice Japanese style, and I was very intrigued with Dr. Tan's style. And we have this ongoing argument every time we go to dinner at Summer Shack, go salsa dancing, go tango dancing. I would say to him, you know, why do you use such long needles and such a big gauge when I'm using #1 serins? They go in about 3 millimeters, and I get results. And he looked at me and he said, you know, Diane, if the theory is sound, you can use any material. So we started having conversations about using magnets on the points, about doing little thread moxa on the points, and getting, you know, fabulous results. But as I mentioned before, last time we talked, he was generous with everything. He was generous with information. Every time we go to dinner at the Summer Shack, everybody would be eating lobster. There'd be bottles of wine and champagne and his Prosecco with Saint Germain in it. And he would pick up the tab and it would be over $500, you know? So he was just an amazing, incredible human being who had this light that, you know, he didn't care that I practiced Japanese acupuncture. He said, and I don't care, you know, the person is coming to you, they have knee pain, and his famous, I don't care if they have spleen qi deficiency. They're coming to you for knee pain, fix the knee. So I've learned so much from him over the years. And Eileen, you've been such an inspiration and an influence as well. And unfortunately, he had asked me to edit his last book, and unfortunately that has not come to fruition, but I was able to take some of that information, because I have it, and apply it to treating patients. So thank you.
Thank you, Diane, for sharing that your relationship, your wonderful friendship is always there, and then always wishing you a very good and great teacher. That's why I invited to come to teach us how to be a better practitioner by using Dr. Tan's information that he shared over there at the Massachusetts. Because at that time I wasn't acupuncturist yet, so I have no idea what was he teaching. So I'm happy Diane was there. So that was great. Thank you so much. So let's welcome Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie, Dr. Robinson from Vancouver, Victoria, Canada.
Victoria. Hi, everybody. I'll just keep it really brief. So many of these stories resonate. As people have said again and again, Tan's generosity was unlimited. Eileen and I were having dinner in possibly the most spectacular sushi restaurant I've been in San Diego. And Tan came over and reminded me, you know, we don't want to keep anything back. You know, I want everyone to learn every possible key trick that the most we can understand so that we can have the greatest impact on everyone we have the opportunity to work with. So I was perfectly clear. As much as he put on a show in class, you know, he was in your face, whoa, spleen chewed, you know, whatever that he was going on about. He was absolutely golden in his intent and his perspective. And he put up with my complete inability to salsa dance in La Jolla. So, you know, I'm forever grateful for that too. So happy birthday, Master Tan.
Happy birthday.
Birthday.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that I dig you out from your little town to start just join the family again. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to find her. Anyway, thank you so much. So where's the Antonio is not there yet. So Rick Valentine, let's have you chat with us. Hi, Rick.
Rick.
You need to unmute yourself, please. You're muted, Rick. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I get to see a lot of friendly faces that I haven't seen in quite some time, and I miss you guys. Eileen asked me to come up with a couple of Dr. Tan stories, or a one, and there's a couple that you know come to mind, there's a common thread that runs through a lot of these stories, not just the gifts that Dr. Tan had given us, but the incredible human being that he was. We kind of got along really well because he found out that in order to finance my acupuncture, I was a bartender. So that was a unique thing. He thought to have an acupuncture, it was still a bartender at the same time. There's three things that I'd like to bring to the table, and you guys will all recognize probably two out of three. Dr. Tan was so giving, not only in the acupuncture and the techniques and his perspective of bringing, you know, a unique thinking outside of the box methodology, and we could go on and on about that. But I think he gave you little nuggets on, you know, how to build your practice, and he gave you little nuggets on life, and that little window of time between where he would share a little bit of philosophy before he went into the dog and pony show at the end of class, and everybody's fighting each other to sit in one of those chairs. One of the things that he said was that when life gives you a challenge, you know, where we get in trouble is just one thing. When you're feeling sad, or you're feeling hurt, or you're feeling that you know, something's not right, it has to do with just one thing, and that was the idea of expectation. And if you could resolve yourself to the fact that you know, your idea of expectation in a certain situation, and look at it from the perspective that your feelings are hurt because of your expectation of an outcome, instead of looking at it from an idea of a Taoist, you know, going with the flow and what can I learn in this perspective, or in this moment. And so that was one thing I've been able to apply to my life, and kind of cushion a lot of the, you know, the hits that we take, is, you know, to step outside and, you know, Dr. Tan whispering in my ear, you know, well, how's that work with your expectation? And I'm like, oh, something I got to think about. So on the business side of the things, one of the things, going back to, you know, what Eileen was talking about, you know, bringing the pachi to the bar, or needles to the bar. And, you know, I introduced acupuncture across the bar to a few people with the pachi. But Dr. Tan would always say that when you're in the bar or when you're at the party and you're going to give somebody your card, you're only going to give them the last card you have. So that you take this card out and, you blow on it and, this card they're not going to let go of because this particular card is so special to you because it's your last card. It's your last business card. But I'm going to share it with you. So you're going to treasure this card. You're not going to just throw it away on your desk or it's going to find its way under your seat in your car. This card is my last card. So I want to speak to that moment when we all went out to dinner and, that where, and after dinner, we'd maybe hit the town. And I can just remember one of the advanced seminars. We were Saturday night and we'd all gone to a restaurant somewhere down on the water. I think a slanted door. I can't remember the name of the place. But somehow we wound up after dinner closing down some little tiny bar in the Mission District. And I can still remember the music, kind of thumping and, I have a beer and Dr. Tan has a glass of red wine and we are packed like sardines in this room that's pretty much a closet. And, the music's thumping and I can still remember looking across the heads of, and seeing Dr. Tan probably 3 or 4 people away. And he's just bouncing up and down with his glass of red wine. And he was so in the moment. And that was his gift. His gift was be able to, to take any moment and to make it his moment. And, so that's what I got for you guys. And I love seeing some friendly faces and I wish I could, plug into you guys a lot more often.
Thank you, Rick. You're the best. All
You're
right.
the best.
Thank you. So next one, let's find Antonio. Please, Antonio, unmute yourself.
I did.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, how are you? How's
Good.
everybody?
I know you a long time too, so that's why tell us about Dr. Tan that you know.
Okay, no specific or special story because you have told a whole bunch of them already, and most of them have to do with dinner time, right?
Yes.
But I'm not going to say much about that, except that I treasure Dr. Tan a lot. He taught me, immensely, changed my way of practicing. And specifically, it's because of him now that many veterinarians around the world are following the balance method. Because we talk about that, and Dr. Tan said, well, if you want to do that, if you can't do that and take the balance method into the veterinary world, go ahead and do that. And we did. I met him in 2003, actually in Brazil, in Santos, at a veterinary conference. And he was invited there for, to speak. And I sit there and didn't have much expectations at the moment. But then I start, listening to him. And he talked about some of the points and the imaging and the mirror concept and how to open the door, how to switch the lights, even if you are away from the light itself, and how engineers will do that. And that was to your way for looking into points. Look for the points on the distal extremities and things like that. So I start doing that with animals. After that, I start practicing with my horses, and then eventually in dogs also. And so right now we were able to be accepted at the Chi University. Now it used to call Chi Institute. Now it's called Chi University, and it's based in Florida. And we have bases, the Chi University has bases in Taiwan, in China, Indonesia, Australia, South Africa, all over Europe, here in Costa Rica, Peru, and, of course, United States right now, and then Russia, and so many other places have opened. The Chi Institute, Chi University has opened it's like a franchise type of thing to teach TCVM, traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. And by our work through the balance method, Now, the Chi University also accepts the balance method as part of it. It is part of it. We are faculty at the Chi University, and we teach veterinarians all over the world. At the moment, we have like 16 countries. We have a program and traditional Chinese veterinary medicine balance method, acupuncture. And we have, at the moment, we have like 16 countries participating. And we have like around 70 students at the moment from those countries learning veterinary balance method, digital acupuncture. So thank you.
Wonderful. That's very wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen, for this. Thank you, all of you, for your friendship. I think I met most of you at some of the conferences, and we're waiting. I'm getting vaccinated Tuesday, so hopefully soon we'll be able to go to San Diego and meet you all back again.
All right, and then also if you want to go to the medical mission, and Antonio is one of the receiver there to take us to all the different places. We can treat the person, we can watch them treat the horses. So if you want to join me for that, so Antonio will be our host in Costa Rica. Thank you so much, Antonio. So the next person that we are going to introduce is Sonia. Are you there, Sonia? Here you go. Hey, unmute yourself. Hey, Sonia from Vancouver, Canada.
Well, I first want to say how thrilling it is to see all these familiar faces again. I miss every one of you. I think everybody has really touched on the fact that one of the common threads that we really appreciated about Shifu is his generosity and his desire to have everybody connected. The dinners, the parties. It's a common thread, not just that he's a common thread that weaves us together. Those social connections are what weaved us together. And Eileen, thank you very much also for continuing to keep the family together and also organizing this. I also met Shifu Tan at the same Vancouver conference that Gord was at. That was in 2004. It was held in Vancouver. It was the first Canadian Oriental Medicine Symposium. And I had studied I Ching at a young age, and when he first introduced the I Ching at that course, I knew, I said, this is the next master I am going to follow. And like Gord, I just flew down to every courses because I knew that this was the next trajectory that I really wanted to dive deep and study in. And I think all of you have really touched on the points that he was such a beautiful, generous person, creative rebel outside the box, but that creativity created this beautiful medicine that we're doing now. And I know that all of us, as we continue to pass on the lineage, are also adding our creative spin, and that's creating more evolution, just like what he did. And I know that he would be so happy and proud to watch us. And part of that was because part of what I really noticed with him is he was always observing quietly, and then he would make a comment, and then you would know, oh, he was actually observing and noting this. Many a time as I started bringing him to Vancouver, I had many dinners with him, and he would ask me questions, and then after a while I realized he was kind of vetting me and testing me, which I was fine. I was comfortable with. And one of the dinners I had invited my family because they wanted to meet this master, and he, of course, my family kind of embarrassed me, and they said, "Oh, how good a student is Sonia?" Oh my God! So, but thankfully, he said, actually, Sonia is a really great, brilliant student. In fact, she knows the Jia Bing Ding.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do. And then he goes, Sonia, say it in front of them. He put me on the spot right there. But thankfully, I was able to recite it, and I felt it was actually a really proud moment for all of us. So it was something I wanted to share. Also, one of the courses that I think you guys would all find humorous, because this is, again, his keen observation. One of the courses I organized, my staff, this was about maybe a couple of years before his passing. I guess it was a trend, and maybe it is still a trend now, that lots of acupuncturists tended to get nose rings at that time. And I had a lot of, at least in Vancouver, I should say, let me clarify that. And then I had a lot of people on my staff that had nose rings. One of the other doctors, my assistant helping me with the course, another assistant helping me with the course. Of course, I didn't really notice this, right? And until one of the lunches during the course, he said to me, Sonia, why does everybody have a nose ring? I don't know, actually. I didn't even know that you noticed that all of my staff has nose rings, right? And then, so then later on in the course, I said, okay, Shifu, I'm gonna have somebody help you with this or assist you in this afternoon while I'm doing this, handing you needles, right? And then, and I introduced them together. So this so-and-so, this is who's gonna be your assistant in the afternoon. And later, like aside, he know how he gives a little smirk and he gives a little, like when he's gonna make kind of a joke, and he says, Sonia, this person's not qualified to help you. And I thought, oh no, what did he think or see or hear? And I said, oh, why do you think? And he goes, she doesn't have a nose ring.
Oh my God, thank you for that. Yeah, she's very thorough. You guys don't thought that he might not see me and not hear. Yeah. He knows everything, I tell you.
He's very thorough. So it became a little inside joke with me, with me and him about,
thank you.
Yeah, she has a nose ring. So
excellent.
Yeah, so that's just a funny story. Everyone knows he's funny. He's always very wise. And one of the things I really liked, what a lot of people touched on, is his philosophy, and not have expectations, go with the flow, really love someone for who they are. How do you love them in your own way, and not having expectations and going with the flow. And I think
thank you so much, Sonia. Excellent.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And where's Anna? Anna De Lopo, where are you? Anna. You're the next one. There you go. Hey, Anna.
Hi, thank you so much. All of you are amazing. Dr. Eileen Han, Eileen, thanks for keeping us all together. We all have great stories. And before I tell just a little thing about Dr. Tan, I just want to share some of the stories with each and most of you guys, because the whole celebration of Dr. Tan is was really him bringing us all together. He had a vision, and he would often talk about how he would teach that first class. He had a book, and then the president of the school said, I'll buy a book if you give me a second book for free. And he shared so much humility. And I'm gonna try to not cry, but why do I do this?
It's okay.
So I'm gonna just go down the list. Dr. John Minnie, after our Taiwan trip, you sent me an email that I unfortunately cannot find, and you just shared how, I remember you sharing that my speech was raw, and I just remember hearing that, because I looked up to you like a big brother, and the pictures and the stories you guys shared just reminded me how, even though we're far apart, especially during this past year, how one man connected us all. Yes. And I remember, I'm so sorry, I was laughing and smiling with all of your stories, and I said, oh, I'll be fine, I'm not gonna cry. And I remember when before his Las Vegas, we celebrated his 60th. God has been, he said, Anna, would you, I want you to say something. And I said, oh, if I say something, I'm gonna cry. And he said, I want you to cry. And I said, I'm not gonna cry. And Rick, I remember when I met you, I was just like, oh my gosh, I was so starstruck. I'm like, this is Dr. Rick Valentine. I'm like, and you were just so humble. And that's the common theme that I've met with all of the students, is just the humility. And it always comes from the top, right? Wherever you are. And I've studied from 99 to 2006. And I keep telling people in March 6, because March 5 was one more day that I was going to quit Chinese medicine school because I wasn't making money. And so I remember that month when was one of the first dinners I had with him, and it was just him, me, and Angelin. And he said, and I only shared this with Gord in Taiwan in our little circle, and I think Jim was at the table, and I'm gonna share it here. And I remember he said, and I say this with humility, I don't say this to boast. And remember, that March 6th was a free class. It was the only first and only last free class. And that's how poor I was. And I use that word with great weight because there's my son. You guys see?
A little teh-fu there. Yes.
I named Dr. Tan I named him after Dr. teh-fu Tan because I had no money. I couldn't even afford his class. And I remember that month, he said, Anna, you're the chosen one. But here we are, we're a group of chosen ones. Yes. And I thought to myself, why would he say this? He must say this to everyone. But then when Eileen said in the class in 2018, I want Anna to teach this class. And if you were to tell me March 5, 2006, that I would be teaching the business acumen of successful acupuncturists, I would have thought you were full of shit because I couldn't even put gas in my car. I was working like 1 or 2 jobs for 7 years. And I know I'm not the only person to say I couldn't make a living doing Chinese medicine. And you know that ancient Chinese saying that it takes 7 years for bamboo to break its surface. But then once it breaks its surface, it grows like 60 feet in 5 days. And I feel like I'm that bamboo. And that was the day that I met Dr. Martin Easley. And I think around that time, John Amity. So when I see these two guys, I really feel a connection because we started around the same time together. And I want to thank Antonio Alfaro, Dr. Antonio, because my dog has no more tumor. And he sent me to Dr. Darlene Sanchez. And there are 2 balanced method veterinarians in the entire country. One's in Florida and one's in Chino. And I have 3 kids. I have no business driving an hour and a half. And because of Dr. Tan, animals are being healed. My dog had this huge tumor. And you guys, many of you are animal lovers. And because of Dr. Darlene Sanchez, you know, there's only so much acupuncture can do. And she did surgery, but she also did acupuncture and herbs. And because of, and Antonio was so humble to say, I can't help you, but go see Dr. Sanchez. And Christian, when you told the story about the Batsa, I was in that class. I started with the first Batsa class and I ended with the last Batsa class. And at that class, I remember he slyly, and you guys talked about observation and how he would just stay quiet. And after the 10 years of being with him, he said something about Anna. And I paid attention, like, am I in trouble? And he said, I've seen you grow. And it felt like I was no longer that white piece of jade. I felt like I had increased in value. And I remember rolling on the floor laughing when he was like, these 2 people should not be together. The 2 presidents, the presidential candidates. And then I remember texting Sonia when you were next to Dr. Tan, and you said, I'm right next to him. And I said, give him a hug and just remind me of all the dinners. And one of the dinners I remember we were clubbing. I was clubbing with my master in San Francisco and he was doing Tai Chi on the dance floor. And you guys have that story. And I know you guys have the story where I know many of you have stories where your patients say, was there a white Chinese man here? A white-haired Chinese man here? Because I've had those. And Eddie playing pool with you and seeing you drunk at Dr. Tan's house. And Howard playing the fire in Las Vegas. And just thinking that was the coolest thing. I'd be like, he's a medical doctor. He's a medical doctor. Doing fire. And my husband saying, I know, you told me like 20 times. And then always seeing Irene in the front and in the class. And I remember when Jackie was sugaring and just thinking, should I go to Chinese medical school? And Gord making fun of curling, but then just I didn't realize how serious he was. He's a competitor. And Jim telling me his stories about
And you had to ask these stories from Jim because you don't realize how how much wealth he has in his mind. Dr. Tan's his second sifu, and his first sifu, he followed from beginning to end also. And Mark Montoya, I get a lot of, what am I going to learn today? And I go on Mark's Facebook page and I'm like, oh, he posts these things from 2006. And I put it in my own notes. And Martin, he talked about drinking alone. And I remember Eddie, I think Eddie and I and Martin and someone else were in the car. It was our first class, March 6, 2006. And we were in downtown San Diego. And then we were at a stoplight. And then Martin just gets out of the car. He goes, I'm going to stop right here and leave.
I had to go to the bar.
And then the guys and I were like, okay. And I'm like, I hope he shows up to school tomorrow. And then Paul with the handlebar mustache. I just remember in San Francisco. I mean, I remember in Taiwan how you were telling us how he took you under the wing. And then Tina's story, Dr. Tina Chen's stories about Dr. Tan. And I just remember there was a time when Eileen, Tina, and I and some other students were at the round, dinner, probably in one of his favorite restaurants in San Diego. And Tina was just, we were like little school kids. We were like, because Dr. Tan was mad at someone. But I remember this. I don't know if you remember one of these stories where he would get up and yell at someone across the table and they'd have a heated argument. And he said, and we would just look at like, oh my God, what's going on? And he said, and this is why we're friends. This is why we're friends, because we can argue like this. So anyways, and then Tona, just all the friendships that we've made. And I know that was very long, but I just wanted to share how much I appreciate all of you.
All right. Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much, Anna, for joining us today. And then I'm going to have Eddie, the little brother, going to start. I think Eddie started at the same time with you, Anna. Okay. Is that right, Eddie?
Yes, Eileen. Anna, I was in that free class too. I think it was called The Power of the Points or The Magic of the Points. And I feel so lucky because I started learning this at that time, because right now you can go on YouTube and find all this information. And I might have just like learned on YouTube and I would have missed all of this great time with the people and all the parties and the dinners and the drinking. A lot of times people ask me, oh, how come you get to be Dr. Tan's apprentice? All his other apprentices are these beautiful women. And I think it's because I was in the Navy and he like knew I could have a drink or two, I'd be okay, but I'm not sure. But I listen to the stories that you guys are telling and seeing the photos. It reminds me of all the little things, not necessarily the class, but the jokes and the parties after. And I feel so lucky I got to spend some time in his clinic, and it's all those little things he used to say to the patient. And what people have already said is so true. He knew where the patient was, and when he would just say one little thing. So Anna, if you were in his clinic, he would have said, cry harder. And then he would put the tissue on the side of your head and he'd say, just don't get the carpet too wet. And then he'd leave the room. And then so it was this like really touching moments. And I use a lot of his jokes in the clinic. Sometimes you see someone that's really nervous and it's their first time, and he would look at him as he's putting in the first needle, and he'd say, is this your first time having acupuncture? And they'd say, yes. And he'd say, me too. And he'd put it together. But it would be enough to break the ice. So that's a photo Eileen has. I never knew what to get Dr. Tan as a gift. And I used to tell him, Dr. Tan, you're the only man I know that gets so many flowers. Every time I come to the office, there was like a bouquet of flowers that someone had sent him because they were so grateful either for his class or for being a patient. So I always used to get him the Johnny Walker.
So now you know why you are the apprentice in the clinic, all because of this. Okay, if you forgot to give it to him at the time when he was there, that's the reason why you're in. Okay.
Oh, okay. So that was a good reason.
Okay, you can remove it.
But I feel so lucky to be part of this family and have that time starting in 2006 with that free class. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Eddie. He's in Virginia right now. He's having his really wonderful Frederick acupuncture clinic. Fredericksburg is too long, okay, for me. Anyways, now that we invite Jeremy to speak for us. Jeremy also long-term apprentice for Dr. Tan, and he's in Seattle right now. Go ahead, share some stories.
Hi, everybody. So many of the stories that I would share have actually already been shared. So I'm going to just say a couple quick things. Two words come to mind when I think of Dr. Tan. Legacy and teh-fu. And as all of you know, teh-fu, Eileen was really clear when I first started. She was like, teh-fu is a special word. It means father and teacher, mentor, master. And that's what this man was for every one of us. He wasn't just an instructor. He was really a father. He was someone who loved deeply, cared, was funny in ways that very few humans get everything together. So there's a very famous quote that I want to read that really encompasses a very small number of people on this planet, and this man was one of them. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. But the one thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward, and while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that do. And that's one thing this man did, is he changed the world. Every single one of our lives is different because of him. And so many millions of more lives were really affected by just one amazingly funny, audaciously brilliant little Taiwanese man. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thank you, everybody. Now, today we're going to close in with all the lines that Dr. Tan has been spoken. So I will have the honor of, I will have Howard to have the honor to recite all Dr. Tan has been spoken. He wrote down as 5 sheets of paper what a Dr. Tan's famous line. So Howard, would you please close in all this today for us? And go ahead.
Sure, no problem. How much time do you want to give me?
1 minute. I'm just
1
kidding.
minute. All right.
Just get it.
I got a few. So I think before we start, it's important to recognize that there's one, also similar to Jeremy, there's one quote that really kind of sticks in my mind about Dr. Tan. And Dr. Tan never said this concept, but it's the concept that as soon as you have enough information, or you've had enough mentorship or things like that, your teacher goes away, which is really sad. But at the same time, when Dr. Tan left us with all this information, yes, it would be wonderful if he had stayed around even longer. But on the other hand, I think that he would have said that all of us are already ready to kind of take on the mantle of balanced method and things like that. And so if you feel like he left too soon, that's usually the case. He probably left just at exactly the right time so that the rest of us could shine. And so you're right, Eileen, I've got like 5 pages here, but I selected a few that I think are probably just the kind of the most important here. And I try not to offend anybody, but then again, if you're a student of Dr. Tan, you're probably not easily offended, right? So.
Yes, you'll be fine. So every one of you, if you like it, just clap so we know, okay?
So just a few here, kind of abbreviated from, because this is what we talked about, what I talked about at his funeral celebration. But he had a lot of advice on different things. One of them was how to live life. And so one of his quotes was, don't be so rigid. When you change your mind, everything bad changes to good and vice versa. Please remember that everything has 2 sides. And then he also said, if you eat right, sleep right, poop right, and have sex right, you're all right. It's a vicious cycle. If one of those doesn't happen, it's a vicious cycle. By the way, I'm going to change all, Dr. Tan was very fond of saying shit, so I'm just going to change that to poop, okay? All right, anyway. Then he said, sleep in on the weekends, visit the mattress temple every Sunday.
That's right.
And something I tell my patients all the time is, what should you do? Do not do, you should undo.
Yes.
Let's see. He talked about, another good quote was, if try and try again doesn't work, double check your belief system. And I really loved his quote on changing one's fortune. So you can change your fortune or you could change your luck. It's not as good as changing yourself and your own attitude.
Right.
Let's see, let's add just a few more. On TCM theory. Like you guys have talked about, he was kind of a little bit of a rebel concerning TCM and TCM schools. And so one of the things he says was, don't hang on to that Zong Fu stuff anymore. That's for herbalists. And then he would tell stories about patients who wanted him to feel their pulse. And they would say to him, Dr. Tan, my other acupuncturists would always feel my pulse. And then he would say, well, what did they tell you that you had? And they would say, spleen qi deficiency. And so then he would say, oh, so you've had spleen qi deficiency for 10 years? Your other acupuncturist must be no good.
That's right.
He says, people can leave with spleen qi deficiency for the rest of their life. And then he was asked once if he took pharmaceutical medications. He said, medications, those are for patients. Herbs are for the doctor.
Oh, yes.
On history, he would say a few things like, people have been using gravity to drop hammers for thousands of years before Newton discovered gravity. And the Chinese have been thinking for you for 5,000 years. Don't think so hard.
That's right.
And trying to explain acupuncture, you would say, you're a circuit board. The dots and the points are like switches. We program your computer system by using the circuit board, and we command your body to self-adjust and self-heal. And he wasn't a big fan about points. And I always thought it was a big joke when he said, oh, spleen 6.25. It's like, he was almost joking a little bit. He said, who gives a poop about points? That's not acupuncture. What's your diagnosis? That's more important. And then one or two last quotes. He thought Moxa was kind of funny. He said about Moxa, it makes your clinic smell like you're selling cheap dope.
Yes.
So maybe you don't have to use it. And I think the last thing that's important is that regarding his patients, he would say, when your patients return to your clinic and report no benefit from acupuncture, don't believe them. Acupuncture always works when you do it right. And
Yes.
I try to tell that to my colleagues as well sometimes, because the patients, they don't always know. And it's true. You ask them more in detail and they're like, oh yeah, I'm better. You're like, you could have told me in the first place. All right. So that's a short abbreviated version of all the quotes from Dr.
Thank you so much. I think every one of you already here and already tell us about the stories. Everybody can unmute your microphone. Please say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for joining the party. I love you guys very much. I love you guys. Thank
Love
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. I
See
love you.
everyone.
Talk to you. See you soon.
Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next year in San Diego. Please don't be afraid. San Diego, don't bite. Okay, keep on coming.
Yes.
Come to see me.
Okay.
Guys. I love you.
And all you newbies out there, we want to get to know you and meet you and encourage you to join the family.
And then some of you, I did not invite you. Doesn't mean I don't know you guys or I forgot about you. Please let me know that if I didn't invite you, come to the party. Please let me know. Then I will make another one for everybody. Okay. Love you guys. Thank you.
Love you guys. Thank you, Eileen.
Guys, thank
Bye.
you so much.
Eileen.
You all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Huh? Okay. What is it?
Can we have our party now?
Bye, guys.
Yeah, please.
Okay, after party time.
Photo
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll meet everybody downstairs at the bar.
Yes.
Okay, I happen to be upstairs, so
Martinis.
bye, guys.
See you at the bar.
There you go.
See you guys. Love you. Thanks.
I don't want to leave.
I know.
Aw.
I know, you're gonna have to hang us up.
It's okay. We're still here. Wait until everybody say goodbye.
Party.
Thank you. Love you guys, son. Thank you so much for joining this party. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it's so awesome. And then you guys know that it's so important to continue, and thank you for all the support, and the academy really is thriving and helping for all the people to get to know balance method. And thank you for chipping all your energy, and I love you guys very much. Thank you so much.
You're doing a great job, Eileen.
Thank you.
You are doing a great job, Eileen.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Jackie and Gord, and thank you, John. Thank you, Tona. Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Eddie.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you, Katrine. Thank you, Anna. Thank you,
Bye, Anna.
Howard. Thank you,
Bye,
Mark.
everybody.
Thank you, Jim. Love you guys.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Eileen.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Christian, bye. I didn't see you there. Bye, everybody. Love you.
Mommy, say bye-bye.
Where's the?
His iPad's died. He chatted it.
Okay, good. Bye, bye, guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Jim.
Okay. You guys, if you don't know where the end button is, and just at lower corner over there.
I'll do it right now. She won't let me.
Right there.
You just don't want to go.
Oh,
No, I don't want to hang up.
We're rebels. We don't listen to the rules.
Yes.
We have tequila here, okay? Don't push me. I will start drinking already.
Okay, let's go.
It's just water, by the way.
It's afternoon here. We can drink now.
Yeah.
Anywhere is 5 o'clock. Trust me.
It's anywhere. It's 5 o'clock.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
True enough.
I know. It's so nice.
All right.
Press the button. Can you cancel the YouTube now?